Dave Aranda just revealed the blueprint to beat Auburn in Week 1.
You are Locked On Baylor, your daily podcast on the Baylor Bears. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello there, Bears fans. Welcome to another episode of Locked On Baylor, brought to you by Monarch Money. It is game week. Most importantly, it is Wicker Wednesday.
Let's
Sydney
go!
Wicker, the Wick Dog, ready to go. That's going to catch on, I think.
I was going to say, this new nickname, I can't believe it's not blowing up in the comment section yet. Like, come on, guys. What are we doing?
Give it some time. Give it some time. Baylor started 2-4 last year. They ended up okay. Wick Dog is nowhere near 2-4 yet. Okay. We will talk about Baylor's game plan, the blueprint to beating Auburn this week, as told really by Dave Aranda, and whether the injury concerns do kind of limit that a little bit. We'll also talk about this new Dave Aranda from a pretty good Ross Dellinger piece. I know that's crazy. Good Ross Dellinger reporting, I know. But he goes through Dave Aranda's kind of new, I'm going to use the term again, game plan and how he's approaching this season, and the unlikely person that's going to really help this Baylor football program. And Cam Coleman, Auburn Tigers. Is this as good as it's going to get for Baylor opponents this year? And how can Baylor stop them? All that and more coming up on this episode of Locked On Baylor. Sydney, 2 days away.
2 days. Are you kidding me?
I mean, that's basically count down the hours time.
Oh, yeah, you know it. I'm so excited. Like, oh, we've just been waiting for this for so long. And, you know, I was just joking earlier today with one of my coworkers. I was like, you can tell that football season's here because my chaos level has increased. But it's also like, where has this been? Like, we've been waiting for it for so long. So it's such a mix of emotions. But finally, game week, let's go. Finally, it's here.
And we don't even have to wait as long as we normally do, other than the fact that it was 8 months.
We get it a day early. It's like Christmas. Come on.
How about that? And this is obviously, we've talked about this game ad nauseum. Yeah. I mean, we're definitely at the point. I know Zach Blackerby of Locked On Auburn's also at that point of like, can we just play? Can we just play the game?
We
prognosticated it to death. And this line keeps moving. It's still at Auburn, 2.5. So Baylor's a home underdog. But Dave Aranda might have just revealed the game plan a little bit, Sydney, because we've heard all about the two quarterbacks, the wide receivers on both sides, which team's defense is getting better. And we really haven't talked about what makes Auburn go, so to speak. Dave Aranda did. Here's the key to upsetting the Tigers at home.
I think, it's going to come down to stopping the run and getting them into when we feel like they got to throw it. I think if they're running the ball and they can play action pass and 4x1 RPO kind of at will, then I think we're not kind of in control of anything, and then that's when those matchups become an issue. I think we can play some of that better.
So that's from Dave Aranda. How about the guys on the field? What does Devin Bobby have to say? Is he agreeing with the game plan?
Playing safety, we're in the run as well. Nickel, safety, we're in the run as well. So, that's our main goal. We want to stop the run. That's every week. Each team, we're trying to stop the run, and we want them to pass more. So that's our key, stopping the run.
So all we do is talk about the quarterbacks, and yet here they are. Got to stop the run. And it is going to be that way, I would say.
Absolutely.
So. And Sydney, Baylor was okay against the run last year, middle of the pack in the Big 12. So average to just below average, I would say, against the run. They definitely brought in some muscle, some weight to that front seven in the transfer portal. You were there talking with the players yesterday, including Devin Bobby, and that seemed to just be something that came up over and over again. They talked about what Auburn does well is keeping it on the ground and controlling the clock.
I mean, it's as simple as that. Like they always say, defense is the ones that's going to win championships. So how do you do that? Well, stopping the run is huge, especially when we've seen how many teams win games just based off of their run game alone. Auburn is a team that's been defined by running backs and great running backs over the last couple of years. Like I feel like predominantly are one of the teams in the SEC that always has a really good run game. So you know that about Auburn's history, and that's going to be key in shutting them down. We talk a lot about their lethal wide receivers, but of course those running backs and even with their quarterback, Like, you got to be able to stop the run on all levels going into that game. That's where it begins, like, is in that front line right there and being able to stop that.
Yeah, and it is almost cliche. Like, any team that can run the football effectively is going to win a lot of games. But, specifically as a view towards Jackson Arnold, like, then that gets amplified because he held on to the ball a really long time last year in Oklahoma, and that was kind of his downfall. And B, his best thing is probably getting out of the pocket. We're going to talk a little bit more about Jackson Arnold in a second. But what's kind of interesting about this, Sydney, is if you gave me these two running back rooms, especially at full health, I'm saying Baylor's got the better running back room.
Oh, I agree.
And to your point, like, Auburn's is probably a little unheralded. It's still very good. I like Bryson Washington a lot, and I think Baylor's going to be able to run the ball. But obviously, those two rooms don't go against each other, so it's a moot point. But
how fun would that be, though?
That would be interesting. I think Bryson Washington can play a little Mike linebacker for you. Like, I don't think that's crazy. But looking at it through who's actually going to be on the field against each other, or actually, I guess, looking at the other side of the ball, because Auburn wants to control the clock. Who doesn't, right? But Baylor, with this quick strike offense, we saw it a lot 10 years ago, would get themselves into trouble because they were too good. They were scoring too quickly, and they just didn't have a control on the tempo of the game. So I think there's been the trenches battle is blown out of proportion. I think Baylor's better than people think. I think Baylor has a clear advantage at quarterback. I think they've got better running backs than Auburn, but Auburn can still run the football. Could that alone be what this game comes down to? The fact that Baylor could be doing everything they want offensively all game long. But if Auburn's going to 3-yard in a cloud of dust you, it's going to be a game in the 20s, and I think that favors the Tigers.
Oh, I definitely think it could. The tempo of the game is so important, and the team that controls that is likely going to be the team that wins. And if you let Auburn have that advantage of taking their time, milking the clock, doing whatever they want when it comes to running, that's going to bite you in the fourth quarter. You got to have a grasp on that early on. And a lot of these guys talked about attacking and just like wanting to attack early. They know that's going to be key. So not only for setting the tone for this game, but being able to shut down what Auburn brings when it comes to their run game, that's going to be huge, especially early on.
And I talked about it on the bonus show yesterday, but not having Carl Williams is a big loss in that.
It sucks.
Like, that's your box safety right there. Like, that's what he was actually best at, was defending the run. And that's a physical player, a very athletic player that is off your board potentially. I mean, nothing official, but Dave said, I don't think he's going to make it. And Dave doesn't usually lie to us when it comes to that, honest to a fault. So it becomes one of those where turnovers decide everything in every game, basically. But if that's even, it's going to be the team that's running the ball more effectively. And that could be Auburn, even though Baylor is really good at that. That could be Auburn. So let us know what you think. What is the game plan? Who's going to win this game and why? Let us know in the comment section below. And then like and subscribe, because now we're on the path towards 5,000 subscribers, and we'll need you guys' help. We have surpassed the 4. Thank you to all those who listen today and every day. But now we got to get 5. Now we got to get there. That's the next goal. We also need to get to this game first.
We do.
And we're hearing about a new Dave Aranda coming into this 2025 season, which is going to sound like music to the ears of Baylor fans. What might not be music to their ears is hearing who is responsible for that new Dave Aranda. We'll break that down next on Locked On Baylor. But first, a word from today's sponsor, which is our good friends over at Monarch Money. You know them, you love them. What you probably don't know is all your financial accounts are what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. I like money in my pocket, not on my table. That's why there's Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that helps bring your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone, in which you are watching or listening to this podcast right now. It's built for people with busy lives. If you put off organizing your finances, Monarch is here for you. They do the heavy lifting for you. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. So don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use the code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with the code LOCKEDON, COLLEGE. Today's episode is also brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. The NFL season is almost here, and if you want to make money and make the most out of it, might I recommend you to FanDuel. All right, they're making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I like FanDuel because it makes it so easy for me to bet on the week slate of college football games and then NFL on Sunday, and I get that money quick and easy. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. Back here on a Wicker Wednesday, last Wicker Wednesday of the preseason, because we've got football. I mean, technically we're in it. We're in the regular season right now because we're talking about it, Sydney, and it's just hours away. Man, I know the excitement's been building up at KCEN. I know it has been around those press conferences, and you can't even contain it. You can't even contain it because your mic is muted. But
no, it's not.
I could see you going nuts in there, so it was good that it was muted there. But someone, I think it was actually Ross Dellinger in this piece that we're going to talk about, described this as like the precursor to the rest of the weekend. Like, obviously Saturday, Sunday slate, absolutely loaded. And we don't have numbers next to these guys' names, but how about we throw this to you on a Friday night? Two coaches still probably battling for their jobs in the long run of things. Big 12, SEC, home at home, on campus, Baylor, Auburn.
A sellout, you name it.
Sellout, blackout,
Officially.
chrome helmets.
Yeah.
What more could you ask for?
Happy Friday. Like, let's kick off the football season the best way we can. You've got high school going on that night. You've got college. Like, you name it. You're getting your mix of everything.
Oh, you're just going to be thrown right into the deep end of football. I can't wait. Last week was for the shallow end. Week 0, it was great. We all love it. We get our fix. This is the real meal, the real deal. And this game is interesting because of what I just talked about, which I haven't done a lot of, is these two coaches, Hugh Freeze, Dave Aranda. Hugh Freeze's seat seems a little hotter than Dave Aranda's is. But if Dave Aranda does not do well this season, then absolutely we're right back to the point we were 2 years ago. If they're not a pretty good team, let alone just a good team. And Ross Dellinger came out with this story earlier this week, and it does focus a lot on NIL and how Baylor has approached that. But I really want to take a look at the other part of the story, and that is just kind of an inside look at Dave Aranda. Everyone tries to find the inside look of Dave Aranda, right? He's a quirky guy.
We try our best.
Quirky guy, right? That's a good point. Try our best to do so, right? And these national writers will come in here and try to do the same thing. But they talk about Dave Aranda and kind of his new approach to this season. Sydney obviously took over as the DC last year, like full time, calling the plays. One Division 1A coach does that, and it's Dave Aranda. And what they go into here is just about the way he's changed even from last year to this year. And what I think is so cool is they talk about how Aranda needs to get more complex, which was exactly what he was coming into his time here. And we've gone from elite defensive guru to, is he a defensive guru, to, if he does this, he could be a defensive guru again. But Sydney, when we talk about Jackson Arnold on the other side, first game, the new school, on the road, true road environment in his home state, that's going to be crucial to get that old Dave Aranda and what he talks about in this story of throwing a lot at you. I think confusing Jackson Arnold is the best thing that Baylor can do.
I think I'm not going to say Dave Aranda held anything back last season because I don't know what more they could have done with the shift that they made. I think him taking over the defense midway through the season last year was a hurdle for him. And we've talked about it before. Like, there was so many times where he emphasized how he was still trying to get in a rhythm. And that really took up until towards the end of the season, and it just wasn't fast enough. And I think we finally saw that pop up in that LSU game. But now that they've had all off season to really work on it, I think this is when we really see him unleash at another level again. You know, we know what Dave Aranda's defenses are capable of. So if anything was held back, now in week 1, there's nothing to hold back now. You got to throw it all out there, especially when you're playing a team like Auburn. So yeah, I think Dave Aranda has so much unleashed potential to throw out in this first week and in this first game, and they've had all the time in the world. Like, there should be no excuses for this defense, even in the very first week, knocking off the rest.
Yeah, and it will make Baylor fans, it'll remind them of the Aranda that was here with Ron Roberts, obviously, in 2020 and 2021. That was just confusing the crap out of these quarterbacks. And it was Caleb Williams, you know, right before winning the Heisman Trophy. Like, we're talking about some big names. Spencer Sanders, my God, he had him in a torture chamber a couple of times. Like, that's the Dave Aranda that we saw, and we're like, defensive guru. That's the guy we want. And it sounds like at least Dave's trying to get back to that, right? Trying to get back to that, and really disguising looks, disguising coverages, and just throwing a lot at an opposing quarterback, even if it means throwing a lot at his own team. And he's set it up to a way where, look, I brought in an offensive coordinator who can handle his own. He's been a head coach before. Jake Spavital, that's you. I'm just going to focus on the defense. And there's a part in this article from Dellinger that really, like, I know these things happen, but this did floor me a little bit. Talking about who kind of got in Dave Aranda's ear to get him back to what he needs to be. I'll read it, if I may. Last spring, he brought in one of the most successful coaches of all time in the state of Texas, Gary Patterson, the former TCU leader who helped explain to Aranda how to balance both coordinating a defense and serving as a head coach. Remember, Gary was one of the few guys who did that too, while also assisting with more aggressive adjustments. Patterson said, quote, "The Big 12 is so spread out with types of offenses that you got to be able to play leverage. Dave was interested in thinking of the back, the secondary forward instead of the front to the back." So how do you take that, Sydney, that, like, we know Gary Patterson was here last year, but that Gary might be, the TCU legend, might be unlocking the Dave Aranda that we need for Baylor to be really successful again. There's still some Baylor fans who get rubbed the wrong way by Gary, but how crucial would that be if he's the one that actually unlocks the true Dave Aranda?
I know it's hard with rivalries to have respect for the other team's head coach at any given point. Like, as a Michigan fan, if Urban Meyer ever gave any advice to anybody on the Michigan staff, I'd be like, "You're crazy. Absolutely not. Do not listen."
There's definitely some worry that comes with Urban Meyer advice, I would say, just overall. Yeah.
Of course. But I think that what Gary Patterson was able to accomplish in his career is something worth noting. And I think a lot of Baylor fans would be able to admit that. So I think it's great. We talked about him trying to find that balance. So what better way than to lean into some mentors or some friends or people that you know to figure that out and to get into that rhythm and to thank him for helping with that. We want to see that Dave Aranda that we all know. We want to see that defense, and we want to see it dominate. So I think that was huge in any way or any advice that he gave him to help balance both of those hats. And I'm really looking forward to seeing that hopefully pay off this season now that it'll be in full effect.
Yeah, Gary knew a thing or two about confusing some quarterbacks too. And there are still some Baylor fans that hate him because he hated Baylor. I mean, really, he hated Art, but he hated Baylor, right? And there are still some fans that are like, "I don't want him anywhere near here. I hate him." I'm like, well, he is one of the most successful coaches in my lifetime, like, full stop. Like, of the last 25 years, absolutely. And now you might be getting the best of both worlds if you're a Baylor fan. He's not there. He's not on the sideline. And he might still be unlocking the new / old Dave Aranda. And that could be the kind of Dave Aranda that puts Jackson Arnold in a blender, a Hugh Freeze blender. Let's see. Let's see. Is this new Dave Aranda enough for you to pick the Baylor Bears to upset Auburn in week 1? Let me know in the comment section below, and then like and subscribe because it helps me keep my job and it's completely free. And we're the only place that's bringing you nothing but Baylor exclusive sports content every day that's not affiliated with the university in podcast form, because Sydney's doing it on TV too. Coming up, we will talk about maybe Baylor's biggest fear in this game, plus the return of trivia. That's coming up next on Locked On Baylor. But first, a word from a returning sponsor in Supply House. When the opening whistle blows on a new repair, get your crew moving forward with Supply House. Order today and see parts on your doorstep tomorrow. Over 280,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical items from the trusted brands, the most trusted brands in the business. Their real-time inventory and honest lead times keep you from punting projects, while their industry-leading customer service always has your blind side covered. And as much as I love a good football pun, I really love their honest lead times and real-time inventory more. There's nothing more disappointing than when you order something and then it gets backed up and backed up and backed up, but you need parts fast for a project. That's why Supply House has the next day delivery. Talk about a game changer. Join the free Trade Master program today and score serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and dedicated support time. Visit supplyhouse.com to sign up for free and use the promo code SH, that's Supply House, right? SH, college, and then the number 5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service. Back here with Sydney Wicker, KCEN Channel 6, Wicker Wednesday. We have talked ad nauseum about the skill that Auburn's got on that offensive side. The question is whether Jackson Arnold can get the ball to them. But I think some Baylor fans don't necessarily appreciate it because it's been so dialed in, right? Auburn's just been talking all this smack about how they're so much better than Baylor at every single position. But when we talk about Cam Coleman, that might be legit. Yeah. That might be legit. Here's Brian Smith from Locked On the Portal with Zach Blackerby of Locked On Auburn. Brian does not have a connection to Auburn. Here's what he had to say about where Cam Coleman ranks in college football for wide receiver.
How many receivers in college football are better than Cam Coleman?
One. We all know who it is.
In Columbus?
So that would be correct.
He's in Columbus, Ohio?
That's it.
You have him over Ryan Williams?
I would take him over Ryan because he's more complete. Ryan's the most explosive. He's ridiculous fast.
Right.
But Cam's better in the blocking, and he's better in one-on-one 50-50s.
Oof. And I hate to say it, I don't think Brian's wrong. There's not like Ryan, you want to split hairs and put Ryan Williams too, fine. Like, I get it. Cam Coleman coming off an electric first season at Auburn. You know, the numbers weren't quite Lewis Brown, the fourth numbers. Not quite Ashton Hawkins numbers, but both pretty good. And he had a worse quarterback. And he was kind of the bright spot. He's the one that's kind of keeping me up at night right now. And Sydney, we look at the schedule, right? You still got Kevin Jennings, you've got Sam Levitt and Jordan Tyson coming in when they play Arizona State, Avery Johnson for Kansas State. But is Cam Coleman the best skill position player Baylor's going to face all season?
I think he definitely could be. We'll find out at the end of the season, but so far it looks like he's going to be the best. And I don't want to put like pressure on anybody or make it seem like he has to carry the weight of Auburn, but really he's what Auburn fans have all of their hope on. Cam Coleman is the guy that Auburn fans are excited about. Like, they know that their future kind of lies in his hands. I think he made that clear himself, just with what he brings. He chose Auburn because of what he believes in their program and where they can go. I think we would have saw him hit the transfer portal if that wasn't the case. But he really, really does believe in Hugh Freeze and where Auburn's going, and they want to get Auburn back to the program that they were years ago. He scares me too. When I think about that game, I'm not thinking about Jackson. I'm not thinking about anybody else in any other position, truthfully. It's Cam Coleman. And stopping him, I just think he's so lethal. He can do so much. and he can be so tricky. And I think with like what we were just talking about, the defense that we saw last year, obviously we know there will be some changes for Baylor going into this season, but just thinking about what we have seen from them, he's the biggest question mark and who can confuse the Baylor defense the most.
And you said it at the beginning there, like Auburn fans are hanging their hat on Cam Coleman this season. I think they got a new song on the planes. They're like, I'm a Cole man. Dun, 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 dun. Like that's
Sing it, Cam.
that's like that is
Y'all
the
share
guy.
a name, so maybe they should sing this song for you too. We're gonna start the show next week by playing this song for Cam Stuart.
That would be something. I don't know if it'd go quite as well. But look, he's doing a great service to the name Cam. I will say that for sure. And one of the reasons too why they're so hyped about Cam Coleman is he kind of came on at the end of last year. Like he was playing, but he has 37 catches for the year. 22 of them came in the last 3 weeks of the season.
Yeah.
And one of them was against Louisiana Monroe. That was his eight catches for 100 yards. But then the next two are against A&M. That game they won in overtime. He had 7 for 128 in that game and a couple of touchdowns, and then 7 for 78 and a touchdown in the Iron Bowl. So like he's done it against good competition.
Those were two teams with good defenses. A&M had a decent defense, and so did Alabama last year.
Mm-hmm. Those were both top 15 teams at the time they played them.
Yeah.
Obviously, both were knocking on the door of the college football playoff, and it's been brought up by Auburn fans, and it's one thing that I'll agree with on them. Agree on with them, something like that. I don't know. I don't know that Baylor has a guy that can cover him. I really don't. And if they do, then there's Eric Singleton and Malcolm Perry. If Cam Coleman's taking all the attention, it becomes a tug of war as to whether Jackson Arnold can get it to them. But Sydney, we've worried about this coverage in the secondary. I just don't know if there's someone that can match up physically with Cam Coleman.
It's going to be tough. That's for sure. If there is anybody, like, we're going to see it for the first time, and that's probably going to be a highlight for a lot of Baylor fans. But, you know, as of right now, he's definitely the biggest scare I have thinking about that game, and I think a lot of Baylor fans would agree with that too. Like, he's just so good. He is so good.
Yeah. And Hugh Freeze has clearly assembled in the last 2 years through the portal and recruitment at least a triumvirate of elite receivers that can hopefully make up for lackluster quarterback play. Like Jackson Arnold, I think is going to have a better year than last year, but by no means am I saying he's going to be an all SEC quarterback. You know what I mean? There's still a lot of problems there from what we saw a season ago and what we've heard this month. So Cam Coleman can be the one that could potentially elevate them. And I think he probably will end up being the best skill position player that Baylor faces all season. So that'll be maybe the most intriguing matchup of Friday night's week 1. So let us know what you think about Cam Coleman. Is he going to be the best they face all season? Or are you a big Sam Levitt guy? Let me know in the section below. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, but don't go anywhere yet because we need to finish this thing off in style, Sydney. It's the return of trivia. I
Honestly,
gave it
one of my favorite parts because you keep me on my toes, and I usually learn something from
trying to learn something new every day.
So yes, it's great.
Trying to learn something new every day. And this one, it shocked me. And I had to delay it a day because I wanted to give people a chance. Nobody got Friday's trivia right.
Really?
Nobody. Yeah, nope. A couple of good guesses in there, but nobody got it. So the question was, it was talking about Kansas State. Will Howard broke Kansas State's all-time passing touchdowns record against Baylor in 2023. And the question was, who did he surpass? And nobody got Josh Freeman. Former Tampa Bay Buck did not get it. So now we've got to flip it on its head, Sydney, and give a topical but arguably more difficult question. And that is this. When was the last time Baylor beat an SEC team in the regular season? They've done it in bowls. They don't do it all the time. They've done it in bowls. When was the last time they beat an SEC team in the regular season? You guys know how it goes. Get those answers in the comment section, or if you're not on YouTube,
I feel like that's a trick question.
Is it a trick question? I don't think it is.
It's not? Okay.
Not.
I was like, is it a new SEC team or is it
That's a good parameter because I've done something like this before. Good call by the Wick Dog. It is a team that's in the SEC now and was in the SEC at the time Baylor played them. Good on you, because the other answer would have been what? 2022 was the last time they beat OU. So that would have been it. But yes, good call.
Okay.
It was a team that was it was a Southwest Conference. That's a huge hint versus SEC matchup when it was played. So anyway, get your answers in. First one gets a shout out on the next episode. Get it in the comment section or tweet at us at Locked On Baylor, and you will get the shout out on the next time that we do trivia. No more Josh Freeman answers. Okay. That's too late. I've already said it. Anyway, Sydney Wicker, KCEN Channel 6. She will be out there on Friday seeing this game up close and personal, and we'll have all the highlights for you. We will obviously break it down here on Locked On Baylor. Should be talking with Zach Blackerby with our final crossover tomorrow. So stick with us then. Get involved in the comment section, like and subscribe. Tell Sydney how great she is and how hard she's working over these last couple of weeks.
No, rewrite a new Cam song for all of us. We need a Cam
do that
song.
actually.
That's
do that
what we
better.
really want.
That's probably better. Anyway, thank you guys for making it your first listen today and every day, and we will see you tomorrow on your favorite show, Locked On Baylor.